After years as the family fixer, I was written out of the will for my golden brother, so I cut funding, took the house, and let them collapse completely alone. Hey, I never thought I'd be the guy posting one of these, but here we are. My family always treated me like the steady one, the one who had to fix everything while my brother coasted through life. I put up with it for years, bills, repairs, bailouts, you name it, but stick with me till the end because what I discovered about why they really leaned on me flipped my whole life upside down. Growing up, I always thought being the younger brother meant I'd get away with more. You know, less pressure, less responsibility, more time to screw around. But somehow, in my family, it flipped. My older brother Harry got the free pass and I got the leash tied to responsibility. I, Jacob, 27, male now, and it's wild how obvious the favoritism looks when you stack up the history. Harry, 31, male, hasn't held a steady job longer than 6 months, still crashing at my parents' house, working on his music. And when I say music, I don't mean tours or albums or even a local bar gig. I mean plugging his guitar into an amp in the garage and recording clips that never break 200 views online. My parents talk about him like he's one open mic away from a Grammy. Delusional doesn't even cover it. Meanwhile, I've been the guy patching every hole in their sinking ship for years. Dad needed back surgery a while back and couldn't work for months. I covered the mortgage. The furnace died right before a snowstorm. I wired the contractor the full amount, no questions asked. Mom had a run of medical bills and their insurance lapsed. I took care of it. I've even paid their property taxes multiple times, including a $2,100 hit last year that I covered without hesitation. You'd think all that effort would earn me something, right? Maybe some respect, maybe even just a thank you. Nah, their go-to line was always, "You've always been fine. You're steady. Harry just needs help right now." That right now has been 10 years. Here's the thing though. I'm not some pushover. I'm not sitting in a basement whining about being overlooked. I've got my own career. I'm not emotional about it. I see the game for what it is. They want a safety net, and I've been dumb enough to play trampoline for everyone. So, there I was, standing in their living room, helping Dad with paperwork like usual. The man still hasn't figured out the scanner-printer combo, and it's been 10 years. He piles documents on the dining table, then pats me on the shoulder like I'm his unpaid secretary. "You're good with this tech stuff," he says. "I've been in project management for years, but sure, Dad, let's pretend I'm Geek Squad." I flip through the stack, medical forms, utility bills, Medicare junk, routine stuff. Then I see it, a cream-colored folder labeled neatly in Mom's handwriting, estate plan, final copy. Now, look, I'm not nosy. Normally, I wouldn't open it, but 2 things. 1, I had literally paid their property taxes the week before, and 2, I knew deep down that if I didn't look, I'd regret it. So, yeah, I opened it. Inside was their will, notarized just 2 months ago. I skimmed, and right there in black ink was the part that froze me. House to Harry, retirement accounts to Harry, life insurance policy to Harry. Everything to Harry. My name wasn't anywhere, not even a sentence about splitting things equally. Not even a thank you. Just the same closing line they love to say, "We love both of our children equally and trust them to care for one another." Care for one another. Translation, Harry gets the rewards and you, dependable little brother, get to keep cleaning up his mess forever. I just stood there staring at it while the scanner hummed like background noise. My hands were steady, but my chest was hot. I wasn't angry yet, more like cold, like someone had just confirmed what I already knew but didn't want to admit. You have to understand, I gave up a lot for these people. I turned down a better-paying job in another city because Mom said she couldn't sleep at night if I lived too far away. I stayed close, kept bailing them out, carried their problems like it was my second job, all so they could erase me with one neat signature on a piece of paper. And Harry, the guy who never paid a bill in his life, the guy who forgets to help with groceries, the guy who pawned half his stuff to buy speakers he didn't even need, he gets it all. Of course he does. It was almost funny. Almost. I put the folder back exactly where I found it because I already knew what was coming. I knew what excuse they'd use when I confronted them, the same old line, "You'll be fine, you're steady, Harry needs it more." The difference this time, I wasn't steady for them anymore. That night, I went back inside with the will still burning in my head. Mom was in the kitchen rinsing her mug. Dad was at the table flipping through the mail like nothing had happened. Harry was in the living room strumming his guitar, probably pretending to be deep. It was like watching 3 people in denial, each convinced I'd fall back into my role if they ignored the fact that I'd just seen the script. I dropped the folder on the table. "So, this is it?" I asked. Dad looked up, tight-jawed. "Son, you've got to understand." "No," I cut him off. "I really don't. You wrote me out like I never existed. Mom dried her hands, came closer with that tone parents use when they're about to sell you something stupid. It's not about you, honey. Harry he needs more stability. You've always been successful. You don't need us to leave you anything. There it was, the great family motto. You're fine. Harry isn't. I glanced toward the couch. Harry smirked, like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar, knowing Mom was going to defend him anyway. He didn't even look embarrassed. Just smug, like my outrage was beneath him. You're kidding me, I said. The guy hasn't worked in years. He's still here eating your groceries and wasting electricity recording garage demos. And you want to bet the house on him? Don't talk about your brother like that, Dad snapped. Why not? You two act like he's the second coming, but the guy can't even pay his phone bill. Harry finally spoke, strumming a chord like he was scoring the moment. Not my fault you chose the boring life, man. I'm just chasing my dreams. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Chasing? Harry, you've been standing still so long, the dream probably filed a missing persons report? That one hit him. He stopped strumming, but Mom jumped in before he could answer. Stop, both of you. This isn't a competition. We just know you'll be fine without our help. Harry, he needs this. And there it was again, entitlement wrapped up as charity. I realized right then there was no point arguing. They weren't listening. They never had. So I walked out. But this time, I didn't just cool off. I started pulling strings quietly, systematically. First thing I did when I got home was open my banking app and cancel every autopay tied to their address. Utility bills? Gone. Pharmacy refills? Not my problem. Grocery delivery every Thursday at 4? Paused indefinitely. I deleted the reminders I set for myself to call the credit card company, to check their accounts, to transfer them money when their buffer ran out. I didn't announce it. No text, no dramatic speech, just silence. If they thought I was the steady one, I'd show them what happens when the foundation disappears. And that's when the next betrayal landed. I was cleaning out my closet, boxing up some old things for storage, when I noticed something missing. My watch. Heavy stainless steel, nothing flashy, but it was gifted from a close friend. I tore through my stuff, thinking maybe I misplaced it. No luck. So, I called a buddy of mine who works at a pawn shop across town just to check. He knew right away. Yeah, your brother came in with a watch last month. Said it was his. Didn't look like his style, so I remembered it. I felt my jaw clench. Harry, of course. I drove straight to my parents' house, walked in without knocking. Harry was in the kitchen eating cereal like a king who earned it. Where's my watch? I asked. He blinked, spoon halfway to his mouth. What watch? The one my friend gifted me. He smirked, shrugged. Relax, man. You weren't wearing it. I needed some quick cash. You're good with money, right? You'll get another. Before I could answer, Mom stepped in holding laundry. Don't make a scene. Harry needed the money. I turned to her, floored. You knew. She wouldn't look at me. He promised he'd pay it back. I laughed, sharp, bitter. Pay it back with what? Exposure bucks from his SoundCloud? Harry slammed the spoon down. See, this is why nobody likes dealing with you. You make everything a big deal. It's just a watch. No, I said, stepping closer. It's the principle. You steal from me, and they cover it. That's what this family is. Dad finally appeared, muttering something about not blowing things out of proportion. But I was already done. I looked Harry dead in the eye. You're not my problem anymore. Then to Mom and Dad, neither are you. And I walked out, leaving them stunned. That night, I sat in my apartment and thought about everything. Every bill, every sacrifice, every time they leaned on me like it was owed. And now, after the will, after the excuses, after Harry stealing from me and then protecting him, yeah, it was time. I decided right then they were going to feel what it's like when I'm not there, not steady, not reliable, not the safety net. They were going to fall, and this time I'd let them hit the ground. It didn't take long for the texts to start rolling in. At first they were casual, like maybe I'd slipped, forgotten to play family savior. Dad texted first. Water bill came in higher this month. Can you check the account? Then Mom followed. Out of the meds you usually pick up. Can you swing by the pharmacy? And finally, Harry, yo, we're out of groceries. You still got that delivery app? I stared at each one, felt the little vibration in my hand and let it sit. No replies, no excuses, silence. By week 2, the tone changed. Mortgage due. Send what you usually do. Don't ignore us. This is serious. Quit being dramatic. Just cover it like always. Like always. The entitlement in those 2 words told me everything. It wasn't even a request. It was a command they thought I'd obey out of habit. I didn't. Then came the guilt trip reinforcements. Out of nowhere, my phone rang with a number I recognized, Aunt Lori. She never called unless something was truly wrong. I answered. "Sweetie," she started, voice dripping with that fake sympathy of older relatives. "Perfect. Your mom's worried sick. She said you've been distant. Is everything all right?" I leaned back in my chair, smirked. "I'm fine, Aunt Lori. Guess she left out the part where I've been paying their bills for years." A pause, then the polite dodge. "Families help each other, dear. Your mom said you've been cold lately." I almost laughed. Cold? That's one way to put it. Finally stopped being their doormat. "Did she also tell you they wrote me out of the will and left everything to Harry?" Dead silence, then a nervous cough. I don't get involved in those things, but maybe just talk to them." Of course, she didn't want to get in the middle, but she had no problem carrying their water. I hung up before she could keep pushing. It was clear they'd started their smear campaign. If I wasn't going to bankroll their lives quietly, then they'd paint me as the villain. And where better to start than Facebook? The first post came from Mom, a smiling selfie of her and Dad on the porch, captioned, "We gave everything to our children. Sometimes love just isn't enough." Dozens of likes, comments rolling in. "You two are such amazing parents. Stay strong." Not a single name mentioned, but anyone who knew us could fill in the blanks. Then Harry jumped in, because of course he did. He shared Dad's post with his own caption, "Some people only care when they're getting something. Family is about showing up, not keeping score. I'd give anything to protect Mom and Dad." I swear I nearly spit out my coffee. This was the same guy who hadn't chipped in for rent in years, who sold my watch behind my back, who drained every dollar of help my parents gave him, and now he was online playing the role of beautiful son, and people bought it. "You're such a good son, your brother should be ashamed. Don't let him bring you down." They didn't know the truth. Didn't care to. They just wanted a story where Golden Boy Harry was the hero and I was the cold-hearted villain who abandoned my poor aging parents. I didn't stay quiet. I jumped in and started dropping screenshots, bank transfers, utility payments, receipts for meds, even the $2,100 property tax bill I covered last year. The comments flipped instantly. The sympathy likes dried up, the poor Harry stuff stopped, and the people who'd been cheering them on went silent. A few even deleted their comments. Harry tried throwing shade once more, but the screenshots buried him. You can't argue with numbers, and the receipt spoke louder than anything I could type. I dropped the screenshots and then went dark, and the quieter I got after that, the louder they got. Behind those posts, I knew the truth. They were panicking. The bills were stacking, the mortgage was slipping, and for the first time in years, their safety net wasn't there to catch them. They thought they were punishing me with shame, but all they were doing was proving exactly why I walked away in the first place. And I'll be honest, I was enjoying the show. The house was already sliding toward foreclosure. They'd already been 90 days behind on payments before I cut them off, and the auction date was basically locked in. All my help had just been delaying the inevitable. So, when the notice finally dropped, it wasn't a shock. It was just the hammer falling. I'd seen how they operated, cover shortfalls with wishful thinking and assume I'd patch the rest. Only this time, the patchwork wasn't coming. What did surprise me was how fast Harry's disaster started bleeding out into the street. It started on a Tuesday night. I was walking back from the gym, earbuds still in, when a beat-up sedan pulled up to the curb beside me. 3 guys stepped out, scruffy, pissed off, and clearly not here to talk about the weather. "You Harry's brother?" one of them barked. I pulled my earbuds out, narrowed my eyes. "Depends who's asking." "He owes us," another one snapped. "Said you were backing him. Time to pay up." I actually laughed. "Yeah, no, I don't back losers. You've got the wrong guy." "Wrong move." The tallest one jabbed a finger into my chest. "Don't play dumb. He said his brother covers him. That means you. We've been waiting long enough." That's when it clicked. Harry had been taking out loans from whoever was dumb enough to hand him cash, promising he'd pay them back, probably dropping my name as the safety net. Classic Harry, burning bridges with a lighter he borrowed from me. I shook my head. "Listen carefully. Harry's been lying to you. I'm not part of his circus. You want your money? Go find him." "Funny," the guy sneered, "because it looks like you're both running a scam. He says you're the bankroll. You say you don't know. Which one of you is lying?" Before I could answer, another one shoved me hard enough to knock me a step back. My instincts kicked in. I wasn't about to roll over and play victim. I planted my foot, shoved back twice as hard, and the guy stumbled into his buddy. "Try that again," I said, calm but sharp. "See how it ends." That's when the tallest one grabbed my arm, and just like that, it was on. The other two lunged, but adrenaline does funny things. I wasn't scared. I was focused. One swung wild, I ducked and landed a clean shot to his ribs. The last guy tried to grab me, and I slammed his hand against the hood until he yelped. "Still think I'm the wrong guy to mess with?" I growled. They backed off, glaring but not leaving. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911 right in front of them. Yeah, 3 men just tried to assault me outside my place. Still here, still running their mouths. The one clutching his ribs cursed under his breath. "This ain't over," I smirked. "You're right, it's over for Harry. Because when the cops ask who sent you, guess whose name you'll be giving them." The cruiser rolled up 5 minutes later. I told the officers what happened, calm and precise. I pulled up Harry's text from last week where he flat out wrote, "Don't worry, my brother always covers me," along with the usual messages from my parents asking for money and their Facebook post painting me as cold, proof in black and white that he'd been dropping my name as his bankroll. The guys tried to spin some story about me and Harry running scams, but with bruises they couldn't explain and Harry's own words on my phone, the cops weren't buying it. They got warned and told to leave. As the squad car pulled away, one of them leaned out the window and shouted, "We'll find your brother!" I smiled. Good luck. He's allergic to responsibility. When the street finally went quiet, I stood there breathing steady, phone still in my hand. I figured that was the end of it. Wrong. Later that night, maybe 2 hours after the cops left, someone pounded on my apartment door hard. I opened it to find Harry, red-faced, furious. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he snapped, pushing his way inside. "Why'd you call the cops? You're making me look bad." "Look bad?" I repeated, laughing. 3 thugs showed up at my door because you can't keep your lies straight. "And your takeaway is, I embarrassed you?" "They weren't thugs," he shot back. "They're friends just helping me out. You made it worse calling the police like some coward." I stared at him, disbelief washing over me. "Friends? They tried to jump me over your loans, Harry. That's not friendship. That's stupidity. And you dragged my name into it." He waved a hand, defensive. "Relax, man. It's not a big deal. You can handle yourself. They'll back off once I square things up." "Square things up with what?" I snapped. "You're broke. You don't even have rent money, and you're borrowing from randoms on the street. You're not just broke. You're reckless." His jaw tightened. And then he went for his last pathetic card. "Maybe I'll tell Mom and Dad you're making it worse. They'll believe me before they believe you." I laughed so hard it stopped him cold. "Go ahead, tell them. The same parents covering your mess while you sink them into foreclosure. Yeah, I'm sure your word means a lot right now." His face twisted. He tried to puff up like he was going to make himself look intimidating and squared up. And I don't know if it was the adrenaline still burning from the earlier fight or just years of pent-up frustration, but I didn't even think. I swung. My fist landed square on his jaw. Harry stumbled back into the wall, clutching his face. "You ever drag my name into your scams again," I said, voice low, calm, "and you won't just be explaining yourself to Mom and Dad. You'll be explaining yourself to me." I opened the door, grabbed him by the shirt, and shoved him out into the hallway. He shouted something about me being crazy, but I slammed the door before I cared to listen. For the first time in years, I felt clear. No guilt, no hesitation. Harry wasn't just lazy, he was dangerous. And if he thought he could use me as his shield, he was about to learn how fast I could burn that bridge. Because now it wasn't just his mess. His lies were dragging me into the mud, and I was done letting him pull. I didn't have to wait long before the next act in their little circus showed up. 2 days later, I was at work. Just another morning catching up on emails when the receptionist buzzed my office. There are 3 people here asking for you. They say they're your family. A Mr. and Mrs. Rivers," and she paused like she wasn't sure how to phrase, "and a man who says he's your brother." I closed my eyes, sighed. Of course. They'd gone from texts to Facebook posts to sending angry lenders to now storming my workplace. "Tell them I'm not available," I said. "They said it's urgent," she whispered. "They'll wait." "Fine, let them wait." I went back to my emails, finished out a meeting, took my time. An hour later, I finally walked down to the lobby, and there they were, Mom clutching her purse like it had answers inside, Dad standing stiff with arms crossed like he was ready to deliver a lecture, Harry leaning against the wall with his jaw still faintly bruised from the punch I'd given him, glaring like a child grounded too long. When they saw me, they all straightened. "Jacob, son," Mom said, already trying to soften me with her voice. "We need to talk." I folded my arms. "Talk fast. I've got work to do." Dad stepped forward. You'd really let us lose the house over this? After everything we've done for you? I tilted my head. You mean everything I've done for you? He bristled. Don't start with that attitude. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. You owe us something. I laughed, sharp, loud enough to draw a few stares from nearby co-workers. Fed me? I've been feeding you for the last 10 years, clothed me? I paid for your furnace, your car insurance, your property taxes. I've wired thousands to keep you out of foreclosure before, and you erased me anyway. I pulled my phone out, scrolled through my banking app, and held it up. See this? Mortgage transfer, 11 grand. Furnace repair, 4 grand. Utilities, meds, groceries, year after year. You want receipts? I've got them all. Mom's lip trembled. We didn't mean to hurt you. You've always been strong, Jacob. Harry, he just needs more support. Harry scoffed, finally speaking. You make it sound like I'm lazy. I've been working, just not your kind of job. Music isn't easy. I barked a laugh. That's what you call posting clips that don't break 200 views? Harry, you don't have a career, you've got a hobby, and you're drowning everyone around you to fund it. His face turned red. You're just jealous! Of what? Being a parasite? Dad snapped then, pulling out a manila envelope. Enough. You think you're so smart? Sign this. You've got a responsibility to this family, whether you like it or not. I didn't even take it from him. What is it? Just some paperwork, he muttered. Authorization to help with the mortgage, a few signatures, nothing major. Nothing major. I smirked. You tried this with the pawn shop scam. You think I'm dumb enough to sign something that ties me to Harry's debts? Cute. Mom looked panicked. It's just a formality, sweetheart. If you really care about us, you'll sign. I shook my head. If I sign, I'm legally on the hook for your mess. Not happening. Dad's face twisted with anger. You'd really refuse your own parents? After we gave you everything? I leaned in close, lowered my voice so only they could hear. You didn't give me everything. I gave you everything. And now you're standing in my workplace trying to trick me into signing away my future. That's not parenting, that's manipulation. Harry muttered under his breath. You're making this worse than it is. I turned to him. Worse? Harry, your loan sharks already showed up at my door. You're lucky I didn't let them in. You've dragged my name through your scams, and now you're here trying to drag me into them legally. This isn't worse, it's reality. By now, a few CO workers had gathered in the lobby pretending not to eavesdrop. I didn't care. Let them hear. Let them see who my family really was. Dad straightened, trying to save face. You'll regret this. I smiled. I already regret helping you this long. Silence hung heavy. Mom's eyes filled. Harry glared. Dad seethed, but none of them spoke, because for the first time they realized their tricks weren't working. The guilt, the threats, the fake paperwork, it was all bouncing off. I stepped back toward the elevators. Don't come here again. Don't call my job. You want to lose the house? Fine, you chose Harry. Now let him save you. The doors slid open behind me. I stepped inside, hit the button, and left them standing there in the lobby, exposed and powerless. And in that moment, I knew they were finally starting to see it. I wasn't their steady backup anymore. I was the wall they kept slamming into. The foreclosure notice had finally dropped like a hammer. They'd sold what they could, tools, jewelry, even furniture I'd bought for them over the years, but it barely touched the debt. The house was circling the drain, and so were they. So it wasn't a surprise when they showed up again, this time not at work, not at a neutral spot, but at my apartment. My door buzzer lit up just after 9 p.m. I checked the monitor. There they were, Mom and Dad looking hollowed out, Harry standing behind them with his arms crossed, face full of fake confidence. I should have ignored it, but some part of me wanted to see how much lower they'd sink, so I buzzed them in. The three of them stood in my living room like they owned it. Mom clasped her purse like it was a life raft. Dad carried a manila folder under his arm like paperwork was going to fix decades of failure. Harry leaned against my wall, smug, bruised jaw still faint from where I'd clocked him. Jacob, Mom started, her voice trembling. Please, we're out of time. We need you. I leaned against the counter. Need me? That's all you've ever needed. Never cared about what I wanted, just what I could do. So go on, let's hear it. Dad slapped the folder on my table. Final notice. The bank won't budge. If you don't step in, we lose the house. I tilted my head. Correction. You lose the house. You left it to Harry. His mess. His consequence. Mom's lip quivered. It's still your family home. Don't you care? I cared enough to pay the taxes, to pay for repairs, to keep the lights on for years, but you left me out. You chose him. That home hasn't been mine for a long time. Harry pushed off the wall. God, you're such a martyr. It's not that complicated. Just cover it like before. You act like you're broke, too. That smug tone. It snapped something inside me. You think this is normal, Harry? Running up debts with strangers, dragging my name into your scams, and then strolling in here like it's my duty to bail you out? You're pathetic, he sneered. At least I don't act like I'm better than everyone else. Better? Smarter, definitely. Dad's face turned red. Enough! His voice cracked through the room. His hands shook as he pointed at me. You act like we owe you something, but you've got no idea. We only adopted you so Harry wouldn't be alone. You were supposed to help him. That was your purpose. It felt like the air was sucked out of the room. Adopted. The word echoed in my head, heavy and brutal. For a moment, I thought I misheard. My chest tightened. My ears rang. Adopted. My voice was barely more than a whisper. What the hell are you talking about? Mom's face went pale. She reached out a hand. We were going to tell you when... When? I barked. When I was 5, 10, 20, or never. Because last I checked, almost 3 decades of my life just went up in smoke in one sentence. Dad doubled down. Don't twist this. We gave you a home, food, a family. Without us, you'd have had nothing. My laugh was sharp, hollow. A family? You lied to me my entire life, used me like a tool, and you stand here acting like you did me a favor? Harry's smirk spread across his face. Be grateful we even took you in. Plenty of kids don't get that chance. I snapped. Fury surged through me. I stepped forward until I was inches from him. You smug little leech. I built that house. I fed this family. I kept all of you afloat. And you're telling me my entire existence was just to bankroll you? He shrugged. Pretty much. That was it? My hands shook, not from fear but from sheer rage. You didn't adopt me. You recruited me, and I quit. The room went silent. Mom gasped. Dad froze. Harry's smirk faltered for the first time. You can't mean that, Mom whispered, eyes wet. Oh, I mean it. You erased me from the will, you bled me dry, and now you admit the only reason I was ever here was to babysit Harry, to fund his failures. I'm done. Dad's face hardened. You're still our son. No, I'm not. Not after this. I opened the door, pointed out. Get out of my apartment. You wanted me for a purpose. That purpose is dead. They hesitated. Like maybe I'd break. I didn't. I stood stone still until they shuffled past me. Harry muttered under his breath, but I slammed the door before I heard it. I sat down, staring at the wall. My mind reeled. 27 years of my life, and they never told me the truth, not once, not even a hint. I wasn't family. I was a damn investment. The next day, my phone buzzed. Aunt Lori. She never called me unless something was serious. Her voice was shaky. Jacob, your parents told me what happened last night. They said you found out. I laughed bitterly, yeah. Found out that my entire life's been a lie, that I was adopted, and apparently the only reason I was even here was to keep Harry company and bail him out. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she whispered, We were going to tell you. Eventually, the words hit harder than anything my parents had said. We, not just them, everyone, the whole family. So you knew. My voice cracked with rage. All of you knew. And you let me play the fool, let me break my back for them, pay their bills, save their house, all while you sat there smiling at family dinners, pretending everything was normal. Jacob, she said softly, it wasn't my place. I almost dropped the phone, my hands shaking. Not your place? It was my life. And every single one of you decided I didn't deserve the truth. She tried again, voice wobbling. We thought your parents would tell you when the time was right. The time was right, I snapped. I'm 27 years old. I've been their crutch for a decade, and you're telling me the time wasn't right? The time was never going to come because they didn't want me to know. They needed me blind and useful. Silence stretched. Then I said it, cold and final, so you can tell them this. Consider me retired from my purpose. I hung up before she could answer. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about it. No urge to call back, no itch to explain myself, just silence. And it was the best silence I'd ever heard. The house didn't last long after that. Within weeks, the foreclosure was official, a bright orange notice slapped across the door like a scarlet letter. Neighbors whispered, family gossiped online, but I didn't say a word. Let them watch. Let them see how fast the golden child and his worshippers crumbled without their steady son to carry the weight. Harry didn't take it well. He posted rants about corrupt banks and family betrayal, but the truth bled through. His little music buddies stopped showing up. The guys he owed money to circled like vultures. He went from smug to desperate in record time. The best part? When the house went up for auction, I bought it. Not under my name, but under an LLC I'd spun up a few months earlier, right after I saw the first default notice and knew where this was heading. Clean, legal, airtight. The same house they erased me from, left me out of. Willed entirely to Harry. I owned it now. The day the deed was finalized, I drove by. The porch swing was gone, the shutters peeling, the grass dead. Harry was out front shoving a duffel bag into a rusted car, Mom crying on the curb, Dad pacing with his hands on his hips. They looked up when they saw me. Mom stood, eyes wide. "Jacob, please, you can't let them take our home." I rolled down the window, held up the paperwork, and smiled. Too late. It's mine. Their faces dropped like I'd shot them. Dad stormed over, fists clenched. "You vulture! You'd steal the house from your own family?" "No," I said calmly. "You stole it from me the second you wrote me out. I just took it back." Mom's lip trembled. "We did it out of love. You were always so steady. We thought Harry needed more love." I barked a laugh. "Don't dress it up. You didn't love me, you used me. And now that the ATM's closed, suddenly you're rewriting history again." Harry slammed the car door. "You're heartless. After everything, you'd really stand there and watch us lose everything?" I stepped out of the car, squared up, and looked him dead in the eye. "No, Harry, I didn't watch you lose everything. I made sure of it, because I'm not heartless. I'm free." He flinched. The last ounce of bravado leaked out of him. For the first time, Harry had nothing to say. Mom reached for my arm, but I pulled back. "Jacob, please, you don't understand." "No," I cut her off. "I understand perfectly. You never saw me as a son. I was a tool, a plan, a backup, and now I'm none of those things." Dad tried one last swing, voice rising. "You'll regret this. We're still your parents. You can't erase blood." I leaned in close enough for him to see I meant every word. Funny thing, turns out there was never any blood. He froze. Mom covered her mouth. Harry stared at the ground. I got back in my car, started the engine, and rolled the window down one last time. "Enjoy the ride, Harry. You always wanted the house. It's yours in spirit. But on paper, it belongs to the brother you tried to erase." Then I drove off, leaving them standing in the ruins of their little empire. In the weeks that followed, the calls came in waves, first begging, then blaming, then bargaining. "We only adopted you out of love. We didn't mean to hurt you. You're still our son." I didn't answer. Didn't need to. I rented the house out 2 months later. The new tenants paid on time, respected the place, even fixed the porch swing I once repaired with my own hands. Funny how strangers treated the house better than the people who swore it was their legacy. Harry moved into a friend's garage, then bounced between couches. Dad tried to bluff his way into part-time jobs but couldn't keep them. Mom floated between pity posts online and blaming me in whispers. It didn't matter. Their opinions were worth less than the foreclosure notice they ignored. Me? I slept better, worked better. For the first time in years, I wasn't living on standby for someone else's crisis. Because the truth was simple, I was never their backup plan. They were my burden, and I was finally done carrying it.